Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today it's all about Emphasis, which is a new plugin that's been added to the latest version of FL Studio. The short of this is that it is an absolutely fantastic mastering limiter and maximizer. In many ways, it matches the likes of FabFilter Pro L2 or Ozone Maximizer. It is a really excellent plugin, but it's not perfect. I do have a bit of an issue with it, but I'm going to start with all of the good stuff. So if possible, put some headphones on or listen on studio monitors and make sure you turn off stable volume on YouTube or this is all going to sound awful. Basically, like I said, this will be the last effect on your chain. The only thing I would load after it is the LEON loudness meter. Grab the free version. It is the best loudness meter on planet Earth. It's going to make sure you get the loudness up to where you want it to be. I did compare this to the Fruity Limiter and Maximus, so I will be showing you a comparison of those so you can hear the difference. But how you would use this is you just get your track playing, and then you just push the input gain into it until you get some gain reduction. And then you'd monitor on a loudness meter to make sure that you were hitting the sort of targets you were aiming for. Now there's level matching, which is really useful when you want to bypass the plugin. So if I just bypass, just as I fade this down, I'm going to right click to pause this graph. So you can see there's a bit of a readout. The blue is your LUFS. You've got all this gain reduction in red and orange for the right and left channel. Okay, so what I find so excellent about this plugin is obviously it's been made very well, but it has a simple set of controls that are mappable to a bunch of other limiters and maximizers in the industry. You'll know yourself if you've tried to use Maximus, you have to thoroughly understand how this plugin works, really master this plugin to get fantastic results out of it. And then everything you've learned there won't necessarily map to any other plugins. If you've used something like the Fruity Limiter, you can push the gain up, but it just crushes things and sounds really bad. And just finally, if I were to compare it just in looks to something like Pro L2, you have a similar feel where what you're doing is you're just pushing the gain into the plugin. So if you were to learn something in a tutorial for, say, FabFilter Pro L, you see a professional using that and they're adjusting settings, recommending things, you could apply that to Emphasis and get a similar sort of result. The two modes I would recommend using are versatile and loud. If you get into transient and steady, that's when I think you should really master all of these other controls and you should dig into the manual. Just like usual, at any moment, just press F1 or function F1 and it's going to load up the manual. This is obviously the best place to understand what all of the controls are doing. So if I dig down, for instance, it will tell you the difference between the modes. So I won't patronize you by just reading the manual back to you. But if at any time you're using this and you think, you know, I'm hearing that this sounds better at 1 than at 4. I want to find out exactly what that control does. That's where I would recommend going to the manual. But just in its static position, if you just push the input gain up into it, it's going to sound good. It's actually really difficult to mess this up. I've tried on a bunch of different genres of music. So if things are just sounding too crunchy and distorted, I would pull the hardness back a little bit. And then finally, I would recommend adjusting the linking. So when you take this all the way down, you'll notice that the mix has a little bit more movement, but that might not be what you want for your genre. If you're working with a mix and things are feeling really flat and you've lost the width, you've lost the depth, I would consider pulling this down and just doing a comparison and seeing what you like. Obviously, for the numbers you want to hit, I would recommend checking out my full free mastering tutorial on YouTube. It's quite short, but it tells you what sort of numbers you might want to aim for based on what other people in the industry are doing, but also based on your needs and your genre. So I compared it to the Fruity Limiter and Maximus, and I just had everything on their stock settings, and I just pushed the same amount of gain into them to see what the sound would be. So we'll take a listen, and then I'll tell you what I would like you to listen out for as well. So you can really hear Emphasis is much louder than both of those. The Fruity Limiter Master, it sounds much more sort of closed and in front of you, like it's in a sort of container, whereas the one using Emphasis to get the same gain reduction feels much, much more open. So specifically, I want you to listen to these reverb tails on this synth. I'll play it through on Emphasis, then on Fruity Limiter. So hear how that really opens up around you. The Fruity Limiter mix is just really closed off. If we go to Maximus, With both Maximus and Fruity Limiter, I'm hearing more distortion, but the track also sounds quieter, which is really crazy. The point I'm trying to make is that it's actually pretty difficult to mess up a mix with emphasis until you get to ridiculous levels of gain reduction. Let's just go to another mix again, just to show if I just keep everything in the default setup, it really is pretty easy to use this and get good results. If I start with level matching. So I'll push it till we get some good gain reduction. Let's bypass. I'm going to turn off level matching. There's going to be a big increase in volume, but I'll adjust it in the edit. Say just while I was adjusting stuff, don't worry if the true peaks went over. If you enable the true peaks mode, that shouldn't happen. But as you adjust these, often meters just peak over. So you can just reset the meter. It's no trouble. If that looked like it was clipping or something, it was actually fine. But that's not the problem I have with the plugin. I want to talk to you really about the issue I have with this is that it hasn't really been added for everybody. It's only if you have the all plugins bundle, which is a bit of an issue for me. And I'm not saying we should all be entitled to free stuff. I do think, you should have to pay for valuable stuff. But I know most people are an FL Studio Producer Edition. That's the one I bought when I started. And Signature Edition or Signature Bundle, that was the one that always added those extra tools, like the stuff you really need for those professional releases. And then All Plugins Edition sort of used to be a whole bunch of extra stuff that you really don't need, but it might be nice to have it. Whereas this is one of those tools that I really think should have been in the Signature Bundle or just added to the Producer Edition, because you can see there's a massive price increase here, more expensive than some other DAWs. And FL Studio's always been the great value for money option, and they've always championed their lifetime free updates. Feels like they're sort of trying to force upsells to the All Plugin Edition. Now, there is an issue with this. Really hope I'm not sounding pedantic here, because I like FL Studio, I like ImageLine, but look, All Plugins Edition. You can read it. This does not include all future plugins we release. So even if you forked out a whole load of extra money to buy the All Plugins Edition, what's that, £270 more? Something like that? It's a fair wad of cash. It doesn't guarantee you even get all these new plugins that they add to the software. And at that point, I'm starting to think, where are these lifetime free updates? Signature Bundle, cost-effective way to get your hands on our best gear. And there's no doubt this Emphasis mastering limiter is their best gear. It is better than Maximus. It is better than Fruity Limiter. If you go to this page here, it says alternatives are Fruity Compressor, This is not an alternative. If I buy it, it's not like I can use this in a different piece of software. I am limited to using it only inside FL Studio, limited, no pun intended. And what I think maybe they're trying to do is just push more to the FL Studio Cloud. So this is something that, again, gives you access to a whole bunch more plugins, some of their AI features, distribution as well. $12.50 a month, $124 yearly. If I'm paying all this extra for the FL Cloud, maybe I'm paying extra for All Plugins Bundle, that's starting to look like a yearly upgrade price. That no longer really feels like the same lifetime free updates. But also, I know the FL Cloud does give you a bunch of extra added value, so I don't want to sound like I'm just complaining and I want everything for free. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But it makes these extra incredible features feels less like a thank you, we're adding cool features, and more like a way to drive more revenue. I'd rather it was just a £50 a year update fee and we got all the new stuff that was added, because it feels like they're finding other ways to charge us for this stuff anyway. So I'm not going to have a massive rant. I'd love to know what you think about that though, because maybe you just think I'm well off here. Is my opinion just way out of whack here? That's fine if it is, but yeah, I do want to hear from you. But in the meantime, you can still trial this. If you use All Plugins Bundle as well, then you've just got access to a phenomenal plugin that, in my opinion, does rival some of the best mastering limiters that are available right now. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll be back very soon with another video. Bye for now.